One of the bigger surprises this year at E3 was the fact that EA did something a little bit different at their press conference. They showed a game that felt a lot more intimate than what usually is on the big stage at their press conferences. Unravel. Could you tell us a little bit about the vision for Unravel and what kind of game it is?
It's a little puzzle platformer where you play this little character that's made of yarn, and the yarn is tethered to the start of the game. So as you kind of progress through it, you unravel more and more the further away you get from home, so to speak. But the goal of the whole thing is to just try to make that yarn reach all the way to the end of the game. So you're kind of like tying it all together, and it's a very symbolic game. It's that yarn is kind of like representing love and like the connection between people. So basically what it's all about is just trying to tie people together and connect things that shouldn't be apart. So it's, yeah.
Is that your approach to the narrative, that it's metaphorical, or is there a narrative that's sort of more like told in some way explicitly?
It is mostly metaphorical. We believe in doing storytelling mostly through the environment, through the things that you experience and see and discover on your own. So there's not like really cutscenes and stuff like that in the traditional sense. We kind of just like, we strike one note and then it's like we give you all the rest of the stuff, but it's sort of up to you to make the music, so to speak. I think that approach to storytelling is the best way to do it, especially with a subject matter like this. It's like you can't be too heavy-handed with it. You just like really have to let the players come to the story instead. But that way, it kind of like when you do that, it gets more intense for you because it's something that you created. It's something that you kind of discovered on your own instead. So. Yeah.
And I think something that's nice, I mean, this sort of like physics-based platformer, we've seen a few of those, but I think there's something very unique about the way you use your yarn, and it feels like it's a game that can be played very sort of fluently, very quickly as well if you master the mechanics.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely a certain grace to it. I think it's like really cool to see because when the yarn stuff gets kind of second nature, when it becomes like a very natural extension of like the normal like platforming stuff that you can do. It's like everything in the world is physics-based, so it kind of like behaves the way you would expect it to. So then it gets like really cool when you can do things like you, since you always have this trail of yarn behind you, you can interact with that in different ways. So you do things like you could tether yourself in place and jump off a ledge and just kind of grab the rope in midair and just swing in underneath the platform and use the lasso to grab the next one and just get this kind of flow going. And I'm a big fan of that, like physicality and fluidity of gameplay. I think like in a platformer, you're really like, you're moving from A to B, like you're moving from like left to right a lot. And I really want just like that core thing, like the main interaction with the game should be like a great thing to do. It should be like rewarding in its own right. You shouldn't like need the super moments in order to appreciate it. It's just interacting with it should be a joy. And you know, it's really cool when you like get the hang of it and just kind of like you become this little yarn guy. Just like.
So Coldwood Interactive has been around for a long time, but I think for a lot of people this is sort of their introduction to you as a company. But you've been doing different kinds of games. Why did you sort of want to embark on this sort of game now?
Yeah, it's interesting because so many people assume that it's our first game because they haven't really heard about us before. But it's cool because it actually kind of feels like the first game in many ways because it's so very different, because we used to do all these like smaller sports titles and stuff. But I guess what triggered it for me was kind of like, you know, we did that fighting game back in the days, which was like, it had some problems, but it was very well received with the fans. I think it reached like 700,000 people or something like that. But critically, it was kind of considered like a failure. And that kind of struck me because if you can reach 700,000 people with a failure, like imagine how many people you could touch with something that was actually like great. It's like a super powerful platform that has like, you can really connect with people on a deeper level actually. So that's why I've suddenly felt like, man, I've got this responsibility, because with so many people listening to me, I feel like I have to say something. It doesn't, I mean, you don't have to change the world with your game, but it feels really weird to make a game that's about nothing. So it has to have some kind of purpose, some kind of meaning, I think. So that's really what's triggered this whole process.
And of course, that meaning is very special to you. Can you expand a little on the meaning for you? But I guess for the players, they will sort of bring their own meaning to the game.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing. It's almost like I don't really want to say too much about what I myself read into it, because I kind of want to leave it in your hands, really, because it's yeah, I think it's important that you get to discover this thing on your own and make what you like out of it. That's really how you connect with it, by just like creating that story yourself.
So we got a first look at it here at E3. What's the road ahead with the game, and when do you hope to be ready to unleash it?
We don't have a release date yet, but we're like working really hard, and we can see the light at the end of the tunnel right now. But we don't have a set date yet. We're just like trying to make it as as great as we can. And EA has been like super supportive about that. It's just like, it's always about like, what do you need? Never about, this is the date, this is the date. It's just like, how can we make this the best thing it could possibly be? And that's rare for a game developer, to have that kind of support, to have that friendly giant behind you that's kind of like just like helping you. It's cool.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Nice of you to have me. So.